Yes, this is it! Hope is finally here! I can feel it in the air!
I stepped off the bus with my duffel bag slung over my shoulder and one thought beating inside my chest. Home, I whispered to myself. 3 years. 3 long, dusty, lonely years in the military. And now I was finally back. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out and smiled when I saw the date on the screen. Our anniversary, I muttered. Perfect timing. I could already picture Emily's face when she saw me. Wide eyes. That soft gasp she always made when she was surprised. Maybe she'd cry. She always cried when she was emotional. I chuckled under my breath. Yeah, she's definitely gonna cry. The evening air felt different here, warmer, familiar. I took a deep breath and started walking toward the taxi stand. The driver glanced at me through the mirror. Where to, brother? Maple Street, I said. Number 214. He nodded. Just got back. Is it that obvious? He grinned. You've got that look. The I've been gone too long look. I leaned back in the seat. Yeah, something like that. As the car pulled into traffic, my fingers brushed over the small velvet box in my jacket pocket. Inside was the necklace I bought Emily from overseas. Nothing too flashy. Just simple, elegant, exactly her style. I hope you like it, I murmured, already imagining her reaction. My chest tightened slightly, not in a bad way. Just nerves. The good kind. After a moment, I pulled out my phone and opened my messages with Ryan. Last text from him, 2 days ago. Ryan asterisk, don't worry about Emily. I've got everything handled here, asterisk. I smiled faintly. That's my brother, I said quietly. Ryan Carter, my older brother. The guy who taught me how to throw a punch and ride a bike. The one person I trusted almost as much as Emily. When I got deployed, he was the first person I called. I need you to check in on her sometimes, I had told him back then. Ryan had laughed. Relax, Danny. She's family. I'll look after her. And I believed him. Never doubted him for a second. Family was everything to me. Always had been. The taxi slowed to a stop. We're here, the driver said. I handed him the cash and stepped out, my boots hitting the pavement of the street I grew up on. Nothing had changed. Same quiet houses. Same flickering street lamp near the corner. Same white fence around my place. My place. My heart started pounding faster as I walked up the driveway. The porch light was on. I smiled. She's home. Good. I shifted the duffel bag on my shoulder and walked quietly up the steps. For a moment, I just stood there, staring at the front door. 3 years. I lifted my hand and knocked softly. No answer. I frowned slightly. Maybe she was in the shower. Or asleep. It was getting late. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my house key. Guess I'll make this a real surprise, I whispered. The lock clicked softly as I opened the door and stepped inside. The house smelled the same. Vanilla candles and that light floral scent Emily loved. For a second, emotion hit me, so suddenly I had to stop walking. I'm home, I breathed. I set my duffel down quietly by the wall. Emily, I called softly. No response. I smiled to myself. Okay, we're doing hide and seek now. I loosened my shoulders and walked deeper into the house, my boots making soft thuds against the floor. As I passed the living room, I noticed Ryan's jacket thrown over the back of the couch. I paused. Oh, he must be visiting, I said under my breath. Honestly, that made me feel even better. Good. She wasn't alone while I was gone. I shook my head with a small smile and kept walking toward the hallway. The bedroom door at the end was closed. My heartbeat started picking up again, fast, excited. This is it, I whispered. I pulled the velvet box from my pocket and held it tightly in my palm. For you, Em, I murmured. I stepped quietly down the hallway, my chest full, my mind already picturing her smile. I reached the bedroom door, and I smiled just seconds before everything changed. I stood outside my bedroom door, smiling like an idiot, the velvet box warm in my hand. Then I heard it, a soft sound. I froze. Emily, I whispered. Silence for half a second. Then another sound. A low breath. Not the kind someone makes when they're asleep. Something else. Something wrong. My smile faded. Okay, I muttered under my breath. Don't be paranoid. Maybe the TV was on. Maybe she was on the phone. Maybe. Another sound came through the door. Clear this time. A soft gasp. My stomach dropped. No, I whispered quickly. No, I'm just tired. My head's messed up, but my heart had already started pounding. Hard. Fast. Too fast. I stepped closer to the door. The floor suddenly felt uneven under my boots. I raised my hand, then stopped. For a second, I just stood there listening, breathing, hearing movement inside my bedroom. Inside my chest, something cold began to spread. Emily, I called a little louder. Everything inside the room went dead quiet. Too quiet. My fingers tightened around the velvet box. Slowly, very slowly, I reached for the doorknob. My palm was already sweating. Don't be stupid, I told myself under my breath. You're overthinking. I turned the knob. The door creaked open, and my world shattered. The velvet box slipped from my fingers and hit the floor with a soft thud I barely heard, because all I could hear was the roaring in my ears. Emily was in my bed, not alone. Ryan was with her. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Emily's eyes locked onto mine, wide, terrified, guilty. Daniel. My chest tightened so violently I thought I might collapse. Ryan slowly sat up, grabbing the sheet, his face pale for exactly 1 second before it hardened. Daniel, he said carefully. My hands started shaking. I couldn't stop them. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. Emily scrambled up, clutching the blanket to her chest. This isn't. I can explain. My ears rang so loudly her voice sounded far away. Explain. I finally managed, my voice hoarse. It didn't even sound like me. Emily's eyes filled with tears instantly. Please, just listen to me. Ryan cut in, his tone low. Man, calm down. I slowly turned my head and looked at him. Calm down? My fingers curled into fists. You, I said quietly. Ryan held my gaze, jaw tight, but posture controlled. Look, this isn't how we wanted you to find out. Something inside my chest cracked. Find out. My voice came out thin and sharp. Find out what, Ryan? Emily started crying harder. Daniel, please, I was going to tell you. When? I snapped, my voice suddenly rising. After what? After my anniversary surprise? She flinched like I slapped her. Good. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt to breathe. Ryan swung his legs off the bed slowly, like he was trying to keep the situation under control. Yelling isn't going to fix anything, he said. I stared at him, really stared. And my brother, my blood. You were supposed to protect her, I said quietly. Ryan's jaw flexed. Things changed. My ears rang again. Emily shook her head rapidly. No, it wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I demanded, my voice breaking despite my effort to stay steady. She opened her mouth, closed it. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. Ryan exhaled slowly, rubbing the back of his neck. Look, it just happened. Just happened. For a second, the room tilted. My chest felt tight. Too tight, like someone was squeezing the air out of my lungs. I bent slightly, pressing a hand to my sternum. Daniel, Emily whispered, her voice shaking. You don't understand. I let out a short, hollow laugh. I understand perfectly, I said. My hands wouldn't stop trembling. Ryan's voice hardened. You're being dramatic. That did it. I looked up slowly. What did you just say? He met my eyes without flinching. You heard me. Emily turned toward him sharply. Ryan, stop. But he kept going. Cold, controlled, detached. We didn't plan for this to happen, he said. But you've been gone for 3 years, Daniel. Things change. Each word hit like a hammer. Emily shook her head violently, sobbing now. That's not fair. Don't say it like that. But I wasn't looking at her anymore. I was staring at my brother. My hands slowly unclenched. Something inside me went very, very quiet. Wow, I said softly. Neither of them spoke. I bent down, picked up the velvet box from the floor, and slipped it back into my pocket. Emily's voice came out small and broken. Daniel, please don't leave like this. I walked toward the door. Ryan's voice followed me. Cold, flat, Unforgettable. You should have stayed deployed. My steps didn't even slow, and I walked out silently. I don't remember leaving the house. 1 second, I was in the hallway. The next, I was walking down the street with no direction and no air in my lungs. My phone started buzzing in my pocket. I already knew who it was. I pulled it out anyway. Emily calling. My thumb hovered over the screen. Then I hit decline. Yeah, I muttered bitterly. Now you want to talk. The night air felt cold against my skin, but I barely noticed. My ears were still ringing. My chest still felt tight. Every step felt automatic, like my body was moving without asking me. My phone buzzed again. Emily calling. I let out a slow breath and shoved the phone back into my pocket. No, I whispered. Not tonight. I kept walking. Street after street. Step after step. And the memories wouldn't stop coming. Emily laughing in the kitchen. Emily waving at me the day I deployed. Emily whispering, "Come back safe, Danny. I'll be waiting." My jaw tightened hard. "Yeah," I said under my breath. "You waited real good." My phone buzzed again. I pulled it out and stared at the screen. Emily calling. I declined it again. This time, I turned the phone to silent. But the silence didn't help, because now my own thoughts were louder. Ryan's voice kept echoing in my head. "You're being dramatic." My chest burned. I stopped walking and dragged a hand down my face. "Get it together," I told myself quietly. But my hands were still shaking. I needed someone. Before I could think too hard, I scrolled through my contacts and hit call. Marcus picked up on the second ring. "Danny? Yo, you back already?" For a second, I couldn't speak. Marcus's voice sharpened instantly. "Daniel?" I swallowed hard. "Yeah, I'm back." A pause. Then carefully, "What happened?" I let out a shaky breath. "I just walked in on my wife and my brother." Silence exploded on the other end. "You're joking," Marcus said slowly. "I wish I was." Another pause. Then his voice dropped low and serious. "Where are you right now?" "Walking," I said. "Don't even know where." "Okay. First thing, breathe," Marcus said firmly. "Second thing, tell me you're not about to do anything stupid." I let out a hollow laugh. "Define stupid." "Daniel." His tone snapped me back a little. "I'm serious," Marcus continued. "Are you driving? Are you near them? What's your head at right now?" I rubbed my chest slowly. "Feels like someone shoved a knife in here and forgot to pull out." "Yeah," Marcus said quietly. "That sounds about right." My phone buzzed in my hand again. I didn't even need to look. Marcus heard it through the line. "That her?" "Yeah." "You answer." "No." "Good." I leaned against a cold streetlight pole and closed my eyes. For a second, my voice came out rough. "Marcus." I trusted him. "I know. I left her with him." "I know." My throat tightened. "What kind of idiot does that?" "You're not an idiot," Marcus said immediately. "You're loyal." "Big difference." I let out a slow breath. The phone buzzed again, and again, and again. Marcus sighed softly. "She's panicking." "Good. Danny." "I'm not answering," I said flatly. "Okay, but listen to me carefully." I straightened slightly. Marcus's voice turned firm, the way it always did when he was trying to keep me from doing something reckless. "Right now, your only job is to not make this worse for yourself." "I'm not doing anything." "Your voice says otherwise," he replied. I ran a hand through my hair. "What am I supposed to do, man? Just pretend I didn't see that?" "No," Marcus said calmly. "You survived tonight. That's step one." I swallowed. "Step two," he continued, "you don't beg. You don't chase. And you definitely don't break down in front of them." My grip tightened around the phone. "Yeah," I whispered slowly. "Can you promise me you're not going back there tonight?" Marcus asked. I looked down the empty street. Then I exhaled. "Yeah." "Good," he said. "You want to come crash at my place?" "Maybe later." "Danny." "I just need to walk a bit more," I said quietly. There was a long pause. Then Marcus sighed. "All right, but keep your phone on." "And Daniel." "Yeah. Don't let this destroy you." I stared out into the dark street. My phone buzzed again in my hand. I declined the call without even checking. Then I spoke quietly. "I won't beg," I said. Another breath. "And I won't break." 3 days passed. 3 long, heavy, quiet days. My phone kept lighting up like it was trying to burn through my pocket. This time, Emily wasn't just calling. She was begging. I stared at the latest message on my screen. "Emily, Daniel, please talk to me. I'm begging you." I let out a slow breath and locked the phone. No, I murmured. Across from me, Marcus leaned back in his chair, watching me carefully. She's still blowing up your phone? He asked. Non-stop. What about your brother? I gave a short, humorless laugh. Oh, he texted. Marcus raised a brow. And I pulled up the message and read it out loud. Stop acting dramatic and come talk like an adult. Marcus's jaw tightened. Wow, he's got nerve. Yeah, I said quietly. Confidence looks real good on him right now. But inside, something had started to change. The first night, I was shattered. The second night, I was angry. By the third, I was thinking. Marcus leaned forward slightly. You're too calm, man. I know that look. I met his eyes. What look? The one you get before you start digging into something. I didn't answer, because he wasn't wrong. Marcus exhaled slowly. Okay, before you go full investigator mode, there's something you need to know. My stomach tightened slightly. What? He hesitated. That got my attention. Marcus, I said sharply, what is it? He rubbed the back of his neck. I didn't want to dump this on you while you were already dealing with all this. Spit it out. Marcus leaned forward, voice lowering. Your brother's been in serious debt. I went very still. What? Yeah, Marcus continued. And not small debt. I'm talking ugly. My mind started moving fast. How do you know this? I've got a client who works at a lending office, he said. Ryan's name came up more than once over the past year. My fingers slowly curled against the table. That doesn't make sense, I said quietly. Ryan makes good money. Marcus gave me a look. Exactly. Silence stretched between us. Then I asked slowly, you think he dragged Emily into this somehow? Marcus didn't answer right away, which was answer enough. A cold feeling spread through my chest. I trusted him to look after her, I said quietly. Marcus's voice softened. I know you did. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Emily. Emily, please just hear me out. It's not what you think. I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I locked the phone again. I'm done reacting emotionally, I said quietly. Marcus leaned back. Good, because if money's involved, this could get messy. I nodded slowly. Messy, I repeated. Yeah, I'm starting to see that. Marcus tapped the table once. You want real advice? Always. Talk to a lawyer before you make your next move. I looked up. Already thought about it. That earned me a small nod of approval. Good, Marcus said, because I know exactly who you should call. An hour later, I sat across from a woman who looked like she could read lies for a living. Sophia Lane folded her hands neatly on the desk and studied me with calm, sharp eyes. So, she said smoothly, your best friend tells me you walked into a family disaster. I gave a dry smile. That's one way to put it. Her gaze didn't soften. Start from the moment you opened the bedroom door. I exhaled slowly. You don't waste time, do you? No, she said simply. So I told her. Not everything, but enough. When I finished, Sophia leaned back slightly, her expression thoughtful. Your brother being in debt, she said slowly, changes the emotional math quite a bit. My eyes narrowed. Meaning, she replied calmly. This may not be just betrayal. A quiet beat passed. Then she added, this may be strategy. Something cold and sharp settled into place inside my chest. For the first time since that night, my hands weren't shaking. I leaned back in the chair and let out a slow breath. I see, I said quietly. Sophia watched me closely. You look different than when you walked in. I met her eyes. Yeah, I said, and for the first time since my world broke. I wasn't thinking like a broken husband. I was thinking like a calm observer. I sat across from Sophia Lane again, this time with a thin stack of papers in front of me and a tight knot in my chest. She tapped the top document. Before we start, I need you calm. Can you do that? I'm trying, I said quietly. Marcus leaned against the wall behind me. He's good. Keep going. Sophia slid the first paper toward me. Recognize that signature? I looked down. My stomach dropped. That's mine. Except it wasn't. The handwriting was close. Too close. But I knew my own name. I didn't sign this, I said slowly. I know, Sophia replied. My fingers tightened on the edge of the paper. What is it? Loan authorization, she said calmly. One of several. My head snapped up. Several. Marcus exhaled under his breath. Yeah, this is the part that's ugly. Sophia flipped to the next document. Your brother Ryan has been taking out private loans for almost 18 months. My voice came out flat. Using my name? Yes. The room felt smaller. Hotter. How much? I asked. Sophia didn't sugarcoat it. 6 figures. For a moment, I just stared at her. Then I let out a slow, stunned breath. You gotta be kidding me. I wish I was, she said. Marcus muttered behind me. Man's been digging a grave with your shovel. I rubbed my face slowly. Emily knew about this. Sophia tilted her head slightly. That's complicated. I need uncomplicated right now, I said sharply. She nodded once. Then you should talk to her directly. I didn't expect Emily to answer my call on the first ring, but she did. Her voice came out small and shaky. Daniel. I kept my tone even. We need to talk. A soft, broken exhale came through the line. Please, yes. Please. 30 minutes later, I stood in the living room of the house that no longer felt like mine. Emily sat on the couch, hands twisting together, eyes red and swollen. For a second, old instinct hit me. Then I shut it down. Start talking, I said. Her voice trembled. I know you hate me. Emily. She flinched. Facts, I said calmly. Not feelings. She swallowed hard. I didn't know about the loans at first, she whispered. My jaw tightened. At first. Tears filled her eyes. Ryan said you gave him permission to handle some financial stuff while you were deployed. I let out a slow breath through my nose. Did that sound like something I'd do? Her silence answered me. Marcus, who had followed me in, muttered under his breath. That's cold. Emily wiped her cheeks quickly. By the time I realized something was wrong, things were already complicated. I folded my arms. Define complicated. She hesitated. That hesitation said everything. Emily. Her voice broke. He kept telling me you might not come back. The room went very still. What? I asked quietly. She nodded quickly, tears spilling. During your last deployment, when communication got spotty, Ryan kept saying things were bad overseas. That soldiers weren't making a home. My chest tightened. Marcus swore softly behind me. Emily's voice shook harder. I was scared, Daniel. I was alone all the time. And Ryan was always there, saying he was just supporting me. I stared at her. Really stared. You expect me to believe this just happened? I asked. No, she cried quickly. That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? Her hands trembled in her lap. I'm saying I was stupid and scared, and he knew exactly what to say to keep me off balance. Silence stretched. Then I asked the question sitting like a stone in my chest. When did my parents find out? Emily's eyes flickered away. That was answer enough. My voice dropped. Emily, she whispered, they suspected. A cold wave rolled through me. Marcus pushed off the wall. You gotta be kidding me. I turned slowly. They knew. Emily shook her head weakly. Not everything. But your mom asked Ryan once about the money. He brushed it off. I laughed once. No humor in it. Of course he did. Emily looked up at me, eyes glassy. Daniel, I never meant for it to go this far. I studied her face. All the guilt, all the regret, all the damage already done. My voice came out low and steady. You let my brother convince you I might be dead. Her lips trembled. I was terrified. You let him use my name. I didn't know. You let him into my bed. That one broke her. She covered her face and sobbed. But I didn't move, didn't comfort her, didn't soften, because something inside me had finally clicked into place. This wasn't just betrayal. This wasn't just a mistake. This was pressure, manipulation, greed wrapped in family trust. I exhaled slowly, the last piece of the illusion falling apart in my chest. Then I spoke quietly. This was never just cheating. Emily's sobs quieted slightly. I turned toward the door, and for the first time, I understood the full shape of what my brother had done. This wasn't just betrayal. It was strategy and greed. I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. I didn't go looking for Ryan. Instead, I sat across from Sophia and said, "Tell me what to do next." She studied me for a long second. "You're calmer." "I'm done reacting," I replied. Marcus crossed his arms beside me. That's the soldier voice. I didn't smile. This isn't about pride anymore. It's about control. Sophia nodded once. Good. Then we moved quietly. She slid a form toward me. First step, freeze all joint accounts. I took the pen without hesitation. Do it. You understand what that means? She asked. Yes, I said evenly. It means no one moves money without me knowing. Marcus muttered, including your wife. I signed the paper. Sophia continued. Second step, gather every piece of proof tied to your brother's fraud. Texts, emails, bank statements, anything. I already forwarded you what I had, I said. Yes, she replied, and it's enough to start a case. The word case hung in the air. I leaned back slightly. What about divorce? Sophia didn't blink. I could draft papers today. Marcus glanced at me. You sure? I stared at the table for a brief second, then looked up. Yes. Sophia gave a small nod. All right, we'll prepare them. You don't have to file immediately, but you'll have leverage. Leverage, I repeated quietly. I like the sound of that. That evening, Emily showed up at Marcus's apartment. I opened the door before she could knock twice. Her eyes widened slightly when she saw my expression. Daniel, she whispered. I stepped aside. 5 minutes. She walked in slowly, hands shaking. Why are the accounts frozen? She asked immediately. Because I froze them. Her voice cracked. You didn't even warn me. I don't owe you warnings, I said calmly. Tears filled her eyes again. You're punishing me. No, I replied. I'm protecting myself. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. I made a mistake, she said desperately. But this, you're acting like I'm your enemy. I held her gaze. Right now, you're not my ally. Her lips trembled. Daniel, please. Ryan said you were overreacting. He said you'd cool down. I almost laughed. Did he? I asked softly. She nodded. Tell Ryan, I said slowly, that I'm very calm. Emily swallowed hard. He's worried. Good. She stepped closer. He says you can't prove anything. I tilted my head slightly. That's interesting. Her breathing became uneven. Daniel, don't do this. He's your brother, and you were my wife. The words landed heavy between us. She wiped her face. You're changing. I didn't deny it. Maybe I should have changed sooner, I said quietly. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. Her hand dropped midair. Are you filing for divorce? She asked. I met her eyes. Yes. The word broke something in her. She covered her mouth and shook her head. No, please don't. I didn't break this, I said evenly. You're not even fighting for us, she cried. I held my voice steady. There is no us when loyalty is gone. She stared at me for a long, painful moment. Then she whispered, I don't recognize you. That's because, I said quietly, I'm not the same man who left. Later that night, Marcus handed me a glass of water and studied my face. Your eyes right now, he said. I'm focused. Doesn't it hurt? Of course it hurts, I replied. But pain doesn't get a drive anymore. He nodded slowly. You really think Ryan's scared? I looked down at my phone, where a new notification had just appeared. A bank alert. Unsuccessful transfer attempt. Account restricted. I showed Marcus the screen. He let out a low whistle. That him? Probably. I locked the phone and slipped it into my pocket. Sophia had already sent formal notices to the lenders questioning the forged signatures. Creditors were about to start calling him. Audits were about to begin. Ryan could pretend confidence all he wanted, but pressure was building. And for the first time since I walked through that bedroom door, I wasn't the one losing control. I woke to the sound of the phone ringing relentlessly. Marcus's voice cut through the static. Check this. I grabbed it. Caller ID. Mom's cell. Daniel, it's chaos here. My mother's voice trembled. Creditors are calling. They know everything. I exhaled slowly. I know, Mom. Stay calm. Don't say anything you'll regret. Her shaky laugh sent chills down my spine. Regret? Daniel, this is your brother's mess. I ran a hand over my face. Exactly. The line went dead. The next call came almost immediately from the house. Emily. I ignored it. Minutes later, the phone rang again. Emily's name flashed. Again, I ignored it. The tension didn't need words. I could hear in the background of every call Marcus patched through. Daniel. Marcus said they're panicking. Ryan's creditors are calling the house nonstop. He's sweating bullets. I pressed my thumb to the phone. Good. Let them feel it. The first real confrontation came that evening. The door slammed, and Ryan stormed into the room. You, he spat. You think this is funny? I didn't flinch. Funny? No. I think it's overdue. He stepped closer, chest puffed. You've ruined me. I didn't ruin you, I said evenly. You did that yourself. His face twisted with rage. You're going to pay for this. Do you hear me? I hear you. I replied softly, my voice steady. But threats don't work anymore. He stopped a step away from me, eyes wild. You're the same Daniel, always playing the hero, always pretending you're calm. I met his gaze without blinking. Not pretending. Ryan's hand shook. For the first time, I saw the cracks. I didn't mean for this to happen. I tilted my head. Didn't mean to lie, didn't mean to cheat, didn't mean to steal my name, all by accident. He opened his mouth, then closed it. His bravado slipped. You don't get it, he said finally. I had no choice. Choice is what separates men from boys, I said softly. You had a choice. He stumbled back slightly, angry and desperate, like a cornered animal. You're calm. I am, I replied, because I'm in control. Emily stood nearby, hands pressed to her mouth. Her tears had stopped, but the fear in her eyes was raw. I never thought, she whispered. I turned to her. What? Her voice barely above a breath. I never thought you'd stop loving me. The words hit me harder than Ryan's anger ever could. Emily's gaze dropped to the floor. I never thought you'd just walk away inside your own home. I said nothing. I didn't need to. Ryan's chest heaved, his anger deflating under the weight of reality. Daniel, please. I shook my head slowly. No, I'm done responding to fear and lies. He slumped into the chair, a shadow of the man who had confronted me moments ago. Emily whispered again, voice fragile, trembling. I didn't know it could end like this. I let the silence linger, because silence had more power than words right now. Outside, creditors' calls continued. The storm was hitting them harder than I could have imagined. Inside, the room had shifted. The confidence Ryan had wielded was gone. I had watched it crumble, and for the first time since the betrayal, I felt the full weight of the power dynamic in my hands. Calm, steady, unshakable. Emily's quiet whisper stayed with me, soft and heartbreaking. I never thought you'd stop loving me. The house felt smaller than ever. Mom paced. Dad sat silent, staring at the floor. They called again, Mom said, voice tight. The bank. Ryan's creditors. I stayed calm. It's not my responsibility to fix what he did. Dad looked up. Daniel, we should have. Should have what? I interrupted quietly. Said something? Protected you from yourself. Mom flinched. We didn't want to cause scandal. Scandal? I repeated, voice low. Do you understand what your silence did? They didn't answer. Emily appeared at the doorway, clutching a folder. Her eyes were red, swollen. Daniel, she whispered. I gestured to the table. She sat. She handed me the papers. Divorce papers. I took them carefully. You understand what this means? I asked. Yes, she said softly. I know. Her hand shook. She looked small, fragile, broken. I'm sorry, she whispered suddenly, her voice raw. Not just for what happened, for betraying your trust. I didn't respond immediately. I studied her face. Honest. No excuses this time. I shouldn't have let him manipulate me, she said, tears spilling. I should have waited for you. I should have trusted you. I nodded slowly. Her words cut sharper than anger ever could. Marcus's voice echoed in my memory. You survived tonight. That's step one. I took a deep breath. My hands didn't shake. My chest didn't tighten. You're right, I said quietly. You did betray me. And Ryan, he's paying the price now. Legally, morally. And you. I paused, letting the weight settle. You've made your choices. I can't control them anymore. Emily's lips trembled. Daniel, do you forgive me? I studied her for a long moment. My own heart wavered between old love and hard-earned clarity. No shouting, no dramatic speeches, just truth. I forgive no one right now, I said. I forgive myself for staying loyal to people who weren't loyal to me. Her head dropped slightly. Quiet tears fell on her hands. I can't beg you for anything, she whispered. I know I don't deserve. I shook my head slowly. No one deserves my weakness anymore. The folder felt heavier than it should. Divorce, betrayal, lies, all of it compressed in these papers. Emily whispered again, almost too softly to hear. I never thought you'd stop loving me. I felt the sting, but I didn't flinch. I let her say it, let it land, and then I folded the papers and set them aside. I'm done, I said quietly. We're done. Emily nodded, tears falling freely now. She didn't argue. She didn't beg. She just understood. I stood, took a deep breath. Marcus followed my gaze silently. Ready, he asked. I nodded. I walked toward the door, each step lighter than the last. The past stayed behind me. The betrayal, the lies, the love I once held. It all remained inside that house. I opened the door. The night air hit my face. Cool. Free. And I walked away. Months had passed. I woke up without the weight of their lies pressing on my chest. The house was quieter, calmer. My mind wasn't clouded by anger or betrayal. Marcus and Sophia had become constants in my life. Anchors I could trust completely. Coffee's ready. Marcus called from the kitchen. I smiled lightly. Thanks, man. You actually look different, he said, handing me the mug. Different how? I asked, raising an eyebrow. Calmer. Stronger. Not the same guy who stormed out that night. I nodded slowly. I had to be. Sophia's text arrived as I sipped the coffee. Court date moved up. Ryan's creditors pushing him hard. You're doing the right thing. I leaned back and let the words sink in. Justice was moving quietly, efficiently. No drama. No shouting. Just consequences catching up. Emily had been trying to rebuild her life. Marcus had mentioned. Apartment downtown, new job, therapy. I didn't follow her, didn't interfere. The image of her crying in those final moments still lingered sometimes, but now it reminded me of clarity, not heartbreak. I took a deep breath. You've changed, Marcus said again. I shrugged lightly. I didn't just survive. I learned. I stopped letting betrayal define me. The morning sun fell across the table, and I realized how much space I'd reclaimed in my own life. Sophia called later to check in. You're doing well, she said calmly. Your control is inspiring. Thanks, I replied quietly. It's not control for power, it's control for peace. I looked out the window at the street below. Ryan's name had been in the news: fraud, arrest, financial collapse. He was dealing with the consequences he'd built himself. Emily's life was her own now. She wasn't mine to fix, to punish, or to mourn. She had made her choices. I had made mine. I let myself finally exhale. Marcus leaned back and smirked. You actually seem lighter. I smiled faintly. I am. No one around me had changed me. Not betrayal, not lies, not heartbreak. Only my own decisions could do that. I thought of that night, the night I walked away from everything I thought I had. I didn't lose my family that night. I finally saw who they really were. And for the first time in years, I knew exactly who I was.